Hey, remember that time you made one wrong decision and it blew up in your face? Remember the instant regret that followed? Well, that's exactly how it is when you decide to move to a country that doesn't turn out to be what you imagined. It's almost as if your world comes crumbling down. And then the sunken feeling of had I known sets in almost immediately. You sure don't want to be caught in such an unfortunate situation, and we don't wish that for you either. So, to help you avoid such troubles altogether in 2024, we have put together a list of the top 10 countries people regretted moving to in 2023. And you definitely want to stick around until the end to see the unbelievable reason people regret moving to our number one country. Ready? Here we go. Number 10. The Philippines. Starting out with one of the best tourist destinations in the world, the Philippines certainly ranks high on the list of the best countries to visit. And if you've seen pictures, you gotta agree that this place is a genuine paradise on Earth. Or at least that's what the pictures say. This is why it often comes as a surprise to many when they hear people say they regret moving here. Like, seriously, who ever regrets moving to paradise? Well, a lot of people do in the Philippines case. Firstly, while the Philippines is the perfect place to visit on holidays, moving here permanently will expose you to some of the dark sides of the country. Dark sides that they never allow you to see in the pictures. You see, despite the giant strides the country is taking in the tourism sector, the Philippines still remains significantly underdeveloped, with infrastructures that are below par to say the least. People who moved here often complain of the poor internet connection, unstable power supply, and how insanely crowded bigger cities like Manila can get. And then the poor internet connection again. Now, as if that's not enough, the occasional typhoons in parts of the country don't help the situation, and overall, people who relocate here usually end up regretting the decision within a short time. Number 9. Italy. Italy is another country on this list that raises a lot of eyebrows, and that's mainly because the country also has a reputation as one of the best European countries to visit, especially during the holidays. Well, with an ever so impressive history to back the various mesmerizing architectural designs in this country, there's certainly no denying the credibility of this country as a perfect spot for getaways. The serene environments and enchanting natural wonders here are also to live for. And we can't even start to talk about the traditional dishes that can literally take your taste buds to pearly gates and beyond. But then, just like the Philippines, people who move here tend to find out soon enough that it's not the complete paradise they were promised. And in this case, the Italians themselves may be to blame. Yes, foreigners relocating to this European powerhouse often complain about how hard it is to settle in, and they usually attribute this to the naturally rude Italians. Firstly, it's always hard to find Italians who are fluent in other languages, which already means you'll have a hard time getting around. Secondly, racism tends to still be an issue in some parts of the country, and you may be subject to abuse sometimes. Also, these passionate bunch are known to be a bit too loud, and when you combine these factors, you'll see why people who move here usually end up with untold regrets. Number 8. France. Yes, as surprising as it may sound, France has been voted as another country that many people regret moving to. Didn't see that one coming, did ya? Well, it's certainly true that France is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, with its capital Paris, which has been widely recognized as the City of Love. Moreover, the awesome and sophisticated landmarks across the country tell tales of beauty unseen, and that has earned it a reputation as the art capital of Europe. Honestly, it's hard to imagine anyone regretting moving here, except if you take an up-close and personal look or make the move yourself. Then you'll see how reality often dawns quickly on foreigners looking to make France their permanent home, and they start to regret it in no time. According to surveys, the main reason why people start to have second thoughts about their decision to move here is that the locals are proud and tend to ignore foreigners a lot. As a matter of fact, some people even insist that the majority of the people here tend to be specifically hostile to North Americans, especially in the big cities. So you might want to think again before making that big move to this country. Number 7. Japan. Now, here's one country on this list that won't come as much of a surprise to many, and it's basically because it has been in the spotlight for this reason for a while now. In fact, what might be most surprising in this case is that the people still opt to relocate here. Now, this might sound a bit rude, especially if you're a Japanese watching this video, but before we all start to go berserk, note that the reasons why people regret moving to Japan has always been consistent and centers around the country's unhealthy work ethics. In a nutshell, the work-life balance in Japan is notoriously unstable and nothing to write home about. As a result, the lifestyle in this part of the world has also been significantly affected, as people often adopt bizarre ways to adapt to the insane work demands. This fact alone constitutes a major part of the dark side of Japan that often leaves expats regretting their decision to move here. It's just like the popular saying, all work and no play, and surely you don't want to end up a dull or grumpy person. Number 6. Belarus. Indeed, not many people were expecting to see Belarus on this list, and this time, it's not because the country is particularly enjoyable. In this case, the surprise is because no one realized people were moving to Belarus in the first place. However, that has been the case, and well, let's just say it's hardly ever a happy relocation for these people, and here's why. Firstly, Belarusians tend to be a little bit hostile towards foreigners for some unknown reasons. In fact, the general consensus is that if you are not from Belarus or Russia, then you won't be receiving any warm welcome in these parts. It even gets worse if you're a US citizen, and many people who have moved here in the past often end up moving again after a short time. Yeah, it's that bad. Number 5. Canada. Now, this one might be a little bit confusing because while some people regret moving to Canada, others find it to be quite the proverbial sweet spot. This is why the country often appears on lists of regrettable and enjoyable relocations alike. But for the sake of this video, we'll only be considering one part, which is the part where people regret moving to the Big White North. For starters, Canada is often not an easy country to move to, and a lot of people give up on this attempt because of the seemingly overwhelming requirements. But then, even the select people who are successful with their relocation are often met with a harsh realization. Now, that's not the kind of reward you'll expect after working your socks off to make a move, yeah? But sadly, the reality here doesn't seem to care about what you think. For instance, the cost of living in Canada is notoriously high, and unless you have a pile of cash stacked away, you'll hardly be able to cope with the demands. And as if that's not enough, it's often not very easy to secure gainful employment here too. This means that while you'll have to pay through your teeth for the high cost of living here, you will barely be able to secure extra income to sponsor your stay. Then again, the healthcare system in this country leaves very little to be desired. These and the frigid temperatures in here are the top reasons why people regret relocating to Canada. Number 4. Vietnam. As you would imagine, not many people opt to relocate to Vietnam permanently for several reasons. And well, it certainly doesn't help that the few people who move there don't always have good tales to tell. Of the many reasons why people say they regret moving to Vietnam, the most reoccurring is the fact that the country is not safe, especially for foreigners. From taxi scams and bag snatching to pickpockets and gang activities, crime in this Asian country is on the high side. And well, these criminals are often known to target foreigners more because they assume we all don't know any better. Also, the country is not as developed as other Asian powerhouses, which means the standard of living here is not much to write home about. Of course, other complaints have been brought up too, but the insecurities and poor living conditions often stand out as the top reasons why people regret moving to Vietnam. Plus, that's enough reasons already, if you ask us. Number 3. Greece. Talk about absolutely beautiful European countries, and Greece is bound to pop up at some point, and why wouldn't it? After all, with its stunning landscape and enchanting natural wonders, it's already easy to see why this country has repeatedly ranked among the top vacation destinations in Europe. But here's a real shocker for you. Surveys have shown that many people who moved here permanently are not happy with this decision. Who would have thought, right? Well, there's no denying that the country itself is magical, but like the Italians, the Greeks seem to be very proud and somewhat rude in their approaches. They are also very blunt and wouldn't hesitate to tell you what they think, whether or not it hurts your feelings. For this reason, it often takes a long time for some foreigners to finally settle in Greece, while it just doesn't happen for others. Number 2. Pakistan. Sure, we all have our opinions about Pakistan as a country, but if we're being honest, the country does have its fair share of rich history and a pretty interesting culture. Plus, most of the people here are seemingly calm and respectful. However, there's a reason why the country is not your ideal vacation destination, and it's also for that reason that people don't enjoy moving here. Now, if you had your money on the insecurities in these parts, then you might have hit the bullseye. You see, for a very long time now, Pakistan has suffered from continuous terrorist attacks, and it's often hard to pinpoint a completely safe zone here. So relocating here literally means putting your life on the line, and that's something you wouldn't want to do. Also, the laws here tend to be pretty restrictive, and it would almost feel like you're living in bondage. Surely, you'll agree that moving here isn't worth the risk if you'll still have to give up your freedom, won't you? Now folks, before we reveal the country at number 1, quickly hit on the subscribe icon and tell us the country you think we missed in the comments below. Number 1. Russia. Talking about countries with strict and restrictive rules, Russia is one country where you'll also feel like your whole life is being controlled. Don't get it twisted, the country is certainly rich in history and diversity, and it may even be one of the countries with the least number of petty crimes. However, you'll agree that even all that is not enough compensation for your basic human rights, is it? Well, the government here doesn't seem to give a damn, as it seeks to control almost everything here, and you may not even be able to do as little as start up a venture without the government literally poking its nose in your business. Now, that's definitely gotta be the deal breaker for most. But if that's not enough to put you off, the fact that the country always seems involved in one war or another for most of the time just might. Add that to a weather condition that is usually as cold as frozen ice, and you'll see why people who relocate to Russia are often in a hurry to move out. And there you have it, guys. Feel free to check out our channel for more exciting videos about your favorite travel destinations. Also, drop a comment below if you want us to do a video on the best countries you should consider relocating to.